ever wondered how high-level developers identify profitable sites?
This is a site that I really like. Uneducated people in development might overlook this one.
Together with property developer Ross Versti, a man with over $50 million of projects underway at the moment, we dive into a real-life example of assessing a deal.
If we look in Google Maps here, we're adjacent more mainstream roads. This zoning allows for a little bit more dense development.
Helping gain a better understanding of what kind of sites could move you forward versus what kind of sites have the potential to absolutely hold you back.
Leverage being a double-edged sword. It works for you. It can also work against you. It adds up really, really quickly. And there's only really one that'll actually save you, and it's your...
If you've been thinking about a subdivision or a development in Australia, but want to know more of the details of the very beginning, sourcing sites that are actually profitable, unpacking a lot of detail, addresses, screen shares in more of a relaxed conversational style, you're going to enjoy this episode. My name is Todd Sloan. This is the Pizza and Property Podcast. This episode is powered by InvestorKit, Suburbs Finder, Property Developer Network, and Future Proof Property Advisory. More about our amazing show sponsors in the show notes below. But right now, let's jump into this chat with Ross Versti. Ross Versti, how you going, man?
I'm going really good. How are you?
Man, good, because we're going to be talking about finding profitable deals. Now, this is something that gets talked about a bit on the show, but you get a bit of a different spin on it. This isn't so much like a detail in the steps as to where. It's more of almost a Goldilocks kind of approach, man. But is there anything you actually want to set the stage with before we start unpacking this?
So today I want to talk about finding the right deal at the right time of your property development journey. So if you're just starting out, finding the right deal for your budget, or if you're maybe a little bit more experienced, how do you increase what deals you look at?
Okay, so this isn't so much about this is the perfect deal, like period. It's about this is the perfect deal at the right time.
Yes, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And I know there is a little bit of this porridge is too hot, too cold. Like we're going down the real, like just right sort of style. So do you want to start at the, like which end? Is it too big? Is it too small? How are we doing this?
Yeah, let's have a look at a site that's looked developable, but maybe it's just too big for you right at the specific time.
Okay. So what kind of person are we talking about? This is someone that's just starting out.
Yeah. So a new person, maybe they've done one before, maybe two, and we're going to look at something that's too big for them, you know, something that you'd be doing more in your experienced property development journey, but not at the beginning.
Do you actually see a lot of people doing that? Like pulling up sites that are like 1 into 5 to 10 and going like, let's do it. And you're like, slow down.
Yeah. And if they're not guaranteed going into the site, they're definitely spending a lot of time on them when, you know, they should have probably binned it way beforehand. You know, it's beyond their experience level, and there's a lot of risks associated with these larger sites that they might not be aware of, which you pick up that experience by doing the smaller sites first.
Got it.
Alrighty, so let's look at this first deal that is probably too big for most first or second time developers.
Okay.
So here we go. We got something at 2,500 approx meters in a suburb in Adelaide called Modbury. Very good suburb at the time. Well, actually, it still always is, you know, but that's not my job. I don't look at suburbs specifically. I just like it because of the zoning that it was allowing. And
okay, so when you say good, very developer friendly.
Developer friendly. So lots of medium density areas, lots of general density areas, you know, not as many of the low scale development areas, which is great. So
gotcha.
Finding in the right area is ideal.
And for anyone that's not from Adelaide, we're talking around 14-ish K, sort of northeast of the city.
Yeah. So, you know.
So not too far away. Pretty good spot.
Yep. So,
cool. And what about this site in particular too big? Is it literally just like the size of the actual like land?
So that's one thing, not necessarily the land necessarily that would give it away. You know, depending on the zoning, this might be fine as just a simple 1 into 3 or something like that. But this zoning allows for a little bit more dense development. As you can see here on Google Maps, you know, they've ended up building out, I believe it's 10 two-story townhouses.
Yeah, right. Okay. So you might be looking at it, because how many square meters is it?
2,500-ish.
Right. Okay. So it already is a pretty big site, but putting 10 on there, we're going down to like 200 square meters blocks, essentially.
Yeah,
actually,
correct.
It'd be even less than that because you've got driveways and everything else.
Yeah. So it probably would have been an average site development at 250 square meters per block. But yeah, you're right. These probably would have been around that 180 to 200 square meters of pure buildable land size.
So are you saying too big as well? Because it's like, even if you were to purchase something like this and then chop it into 3, then it's not really meeting its highest and best use, like for the potential side of it too?
Yeah, correct. So you might be overpaying for this site based on what you think it can be done for, and you know you're going to outbid someone else that's more than capable of being able to build out 10 houses.
Okay, so this is where the too big side of it really comes in. It's like it is too big as far as the land side's concerned potentially, but it's more so about what you can do with the land size, which is potentially too big for someone that's just starting.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So, you know, a lot of people that are just starting out maybe don't have as many contacts for builders, town planners, you know, an expert team behind them. And so being able to get a suitable outcome, which would make enough profit for a deal of this scale, you know, it's going to be a little bit more touch and go. It's not saying it's not possible. It's just your skill level at this stage might not be ready.
Gotcha. All right, let's go to the opposite end of the scale. What about when is it physically too small, or what's that?
Yeah, so let's look at this property here. So this is again in Modbury, and so we've got 426 square meters this time. Really nice looking house. Now, why would this deal not be necessarily suitable?
Because the house is too nice?
That's definitely going to be one of the reasons why I would probably not look at it. I mean, obviously we're checking the zoning on this and it's going to be the right zoning.
400 square meters sounds like you'd be pushing it to split it. Or that's still doable?
Well, we just looked at the other site and those sites were going to be less than that. They were going to be 180 of buildable size in the end, 200. So this is still going to be larger and it probably would have been street facing.
But I thought that would have been because they were like road dwellings. So like you couldn't chop that into 2 Torrens titles. Sure.
Yeah. So the zone of this would have allowed for this development to go through. So at 220 a square meter, you'd be able to push this one through if you needed to.
Okay. So then if you could do it, is it more so what the house is too nice, too big, what's going on?
Yeah. So on this site, you know, obviously it is on the bare minimum of what is developable. However, it is a very nice, you know, I think Tudor style. I'm not an architect, but, you know, I think it's a nice house basically. It's a 2-story. It's a great family home. And so you're going to be competing against them for the price point. As a developer, we don't want to compete against too many other people when purchasing. Only other developers generally.
Got it. Okay. So you're talking now, it's not so much that it's just that the house is too nice, because even if the numbers stacked up, they might stack up on paper, but then when you've got mum, dad, first home buyer, whoever else walking in, starting bidding with their heart or offering with their heart instead of their head, if you actually really want to secure this, you're then going to have to go into those emotional prices.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And you shouldn't really be emotional as a developer.
No, you say very monotoned and emotionless.
Exactly right. Yeah, ones and zeros, Todd. Ones and zeros.
All right. So what else is that unpack with this one, Ross?
Yeah, and so even though this one is developable as just a simple 1 into 2, so the end outcome of this property is going to be 2 houses that might not necessarily suit the demographic, you know, and so you're going to make sure you're hitting the target demographic of the area because you want to make sure that your resales are as per your spreadsheet. So, you know, if you're going to have 2 really small blocks of land and then you're going to be competing against, you know, this is a 3-2-4, you're probably going to have maybe 2 garage houses, maybe 1 garage houses. So you're going to be selling almost like for like and going up against people that have got giant 2 stories.
Right. So you're saying that even if you can do it, should you do it as far as what the demographic actually wants and meeting that market expectation, this is why it's on that lower side of like, yes, it might be possible, but when you look a little bit deeper, you're like, this is where people go wrong.
Yeah, correct. So they might go, great, we'll just build 2 nice 2-story houses on 2 small blocks of land because it can be divided. But you're probably overpaid because you're going against emotional buyers. You then have to then spend the extra money to then compete against those now same emotional buyers looking for the same products, even though they're brand new. And then you're just going to probably blow your spreadsheet out in all of those things.
Gotcha. All right, let's talk about what's just right.
All right, so this is the site that I think is a great deal. It is slightly under frontage for what council would like, which might sound contrarian because you want everything complying.
Sounds like it's not off to a good start, but you've got a smile on your face. So.
The reason why I like this site is because it is under frontage. And so negotiating either a longer settlement or a delayed settlement with some due diligence period, due diligence meaning speaking with your expert team and getting some more firming up that you can actually do the division. This is what I want to see. This is a site that I really like because uneducated people in development might overlook this one.
So now you said that it's undersized with the frontage. Where's the line there? Because I'm assuming this is only like just undersized. Like if it's the rule is 16 and it's 12, I'm guessing the council is just going to go on your bike, mate.
Of course, yeah. So in this area, it was 8 meters would be the minimum frontage on this site. And we have a 15.24 site. So we're approximately 300, 400 millimeters under per block.
So when you're talking like sort of 40, 30 cents on either side, that's when it's like, I reckon I can scrape it through?
Well, we don't know this. This is why we've asked for an extended period of time to check, you know, with our expert team.
Okay.
And so we've negotiated that with the agent. Might say, hey, look, this isn't as developable as you might think, or it is developable, I think. I'm going to speak with my expert team. I'm going to need a week or 2.
Okay. So the first one is basically, it's going to be a huge outlay as far as costs are concerned. And this is something you and I were also chatting about just off air before. It's like the leverage is an amazing tool when it comes to property. It can really compound your returns. But the thing that rarely gets spoken about is it can work the exact opposite way. To use your words, it's a double-edged sword. It's something that it can hurt you just as much as it can help you.
Yeah.
And it's sounding kind of like if your costs were to blow out on something bigger as well, then they're blowing out in a very big way.
Yeah. If you're not experienced and you underestimate your build costs or you overestimate your end sales costs, that's going to hurt you. As we talked about on the first deal, if it's a 1 into 10, that's going to give you a 10x problem. $10,000 more per build, that's $100,000 extra. If you miscalculate your resales, your target demographic, and you lose 10 on the sales, that's another $100,000. So if you're projecting to make 300, you've just lost 2/3 of it.
Yeah. And this is the crazy thing because I can see it would look look exciting to actually look at the bigger site, but it could disappear just as quick. But then on the opposite side, you're going too small, then potentially you're not actually going to meet the market demand or the market expectation.
Yeah.
You're going to be paying maybe too much for dwelling rather than land. And also you're going to be up against more emotional people. Whereas if you've got something that's what could possibly fit and it's looking like it's also a size where it's not too big, not too small, hence the whole Goldilocks theme here.
Just right.
It's
1,000
just
square meters.
Gotcha. What are the other things that make you go, this is it, this is the site?
The location, obviously where we are. So if we look, in Google Maps here, we look at where it is. We're adjacent, more mainstream roads. You've got ovals around the place. It's not on a main road. It's just slightly adjacent it.
And for anyone listening on iTunes or Spotify, head on over to the YouTube channel if you want a bit more of a visual aspect to this episode that Ross is talking about.
Google Maps also gives you a sneak peek of what actually happened as well with this site.
What did happen?
They got 2 houses on there. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, because obviously these are sales that you're pulling that have sold like a while ago. Like none of this is recent.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
this
gotcha.
is old data.
Yeah, because it's not about the recency of the sale. It's about the actual site itself.
Yeah, it's about what someone saw. They saw an opportunity. They saw a site that was slightly under frontage. This site's exciting because you can solve a problem. You can buy a site, a really decent square meter rate, $350 roughly per square meter. You can do a division and then you can sell that site for $250,000, which is approximately $500 a square meter.
Obviously talking in the time of sales dollars, but the actual multiplier is the same, whether it's talking in today's dollars or 2 years ago dollars.
Of course.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the 3 biggest takeaways that someone can really, I guess, put into action, understand about this if they're looking at getting into a development site, whether it's a simple 1 into 2, 1 into 3, whatever it is?
I want to leave you with 3 of the most important things right now. The first one is a site that's large. You might be able to afford to buy it, but can you actually afford to finish the development? Are you going to be able to afford the development costs and the holding costs? That's where some people get unstuck. They can buy the site.
Got it.
And
Okay.
then they run out of money halfway through.
So you're meeting people that are like, sick, I've secured this site, it's 1.2, and it's like, yeah, but did you realize it was going to cost you $5 million to build it out?
Yes, exactly. Yep. And then they struggle getting the build loans, and then the site sits there. They've got to sell it, and sometimes they lose money.
Got it. Okay. What's number 2?
Number 2, just because you can divide something doesn't mean you should. So the example we looked at, that is a really good home. I don't want homes. I want development sites.
It's kind of the same as like when I'm renovating. I've said it on the show before, the worse it smells, the more I'm interested.
Yeah.
You're looking for the same thing because if you're going to run a bulldozer through it.
Yeah, I want problems.
Yeah.
I want a Goldilocks site. I want the one that people are like, I can't divide that. Doesn't matter that it's got so much land.
Yep.
I smell opportunity.
What does it smell like?
Sounds like dollar bills.
And what's number 3, man?
The third take I want to leave you with is leverage being a double-edged sword. It works for you. It can also work against you. If you were an experienced developer, that first site, that would work great. It could work great, should I say. There's no guarantees. But if you got all your numbers right on the build prices, on the sales prices, that's going to be amazing. But if you underestimate those things or overestimate the sales, it'll work against you twice as quick.
You were saying just like simple numbers before. It's like if you were to have your build cost out by 30 grand on one dwelling, it's like, okay, that's not the end of the world, but it's not that good. But then if this is over 10 dwellings, instantly you've just lost $300,000.
Yeah.
And this is just one variable that's at play.
It adds up really, really quickly. And there's only really one that'll actually save you, and it's your end sales. So having those 2 biggest levers, with the build prices and the end sales, it's pretty rare that you've overestimated your build prices so much so that you're getting a discount on your building rates, And so the only way you can then save that is hopefully the product you've built is going to compensate for the additional money that you've now spent on those. And so if you've got 10 houses and they cost you $10,000 too much, you've just spent $100,000 more on the builds out of what your spreadsheet said. And so you want to hope that the spreadsheet, you were 10 grand conservative in your resales. That's the only way it would be balanced out. So you really want to be checking your numbers and being pretty confident that you're conservative for all the outcomes.
So buy problems, sell solutions, make sure that you can not only afford the site, but you can afford the entire deal, the development, the everything. And whether that's affording through like lending through traditional lenders or whether that's going money partnered, whatever it is, make sure you can get your hands on the money. Also making sure that you're not paying for something lovely that's sitting on the site. You want to make sure that you're putting all of your money into the actual dirt that you're going to be developing. And then finally, leverage is wonderful, but also a cruel mistress if it goes the wrong way. So use it very carefully.
Yeah, be very careful.
Ross Versti, thank you so much for jumping on the show, man. It's always a pleasure to hang out.
You're welcome. Thanks for the chat.